Okay, everybody. So, on behalf of my classmate at the University of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, Dr. C.O. Long here, I'm going to provide just a small introduction for the session today. So welcome to the award presentation ceremony of the International Association of Engineers founder of Associative Neural Network Award. Today's schedule is as follows. First, a presentation speech by Dr. C.O. Long, Secretariat General and Co-Chairman, International Association of Engineers. Second, a presentation of the IAENG, founder of Associative Neural Network Award, to Professor John J. Hopfield. Third, a brief sharing by Professor John J. Hopfield. After the ceremony, we will have refreshments for everybody.
Thanks, James. And it is a great honor to be here. It is my personal great honor to represent our association of over 210,000 members who are from mainly developing countries who cannot afford to travel here. But we will produce the video recording to tell them what happened here, and then they will see our video. And one of the main reasons why we want to produce video is try to attract the newer generation from the inspiring story of Professor John Hopfield, because he had done a very fantastic work on not only neural network but also many different areas. And he, as a even more than over 19 years old, he still in these past 2 years still can manage to publish research paper, contribute to our scientific community. This is something of very good determination. Hopefully, when I was over 19 years old, I can still remain healthy and then do some research on neural network. Because of his work on neural network, in about 2000, I started my work on neural network. Yeah, without Professor John Hopfield's work on neural network, today's neural network will be very different because of his contribution. He made really big contribution. Generation after generation, we have very distinguished professors who are contributing a lot to different areas. In neural network, we have Professor John Hopfield. More than 10 years ago, when I represent our society to meet with the founder of fuzzy logic in UC Berkeley, it is also our great honor because he also founded fuzzy logic. But as more science focus on neural network, because the potential of neural network is to mimic how the brain works. It is more powerful than fuzzy logic. So in the past 10 years, most of the focus are on neural network because work like John Hopfield. Yeah. And I would like to quote a direct quotation from the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering Foundation, because Professor John Hopfield just received the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering of 2025. A direct quote. Yojo Bengil, Geoffrey Hilton, John Hopfield, and Jan LeCun have long championed artificial neural network as an effective model for machine learning, and this is now the dominant paradigm. Together, they are responsible for the conceptual validation of this approach. Yeah, this is a very sincere and honor review about what John has done to our neural network area. So representing over 210,000 members, our International Association of Engineering, our own sincere view is that Professor John Hopfield is one of the 4 most influential scientists on modern AI. This is the view of our society. Without further ado, it is our great honor to represent the International Association of Engineering to present the founder of Associative Neural Network Award to Professor John J. Hopfield. Yeah. Let's welcome Professor Hopfield. Princeton theme is to inspire the younger generation from the very distinguished older generation. In fact, because we come here, we have delegates from Canada, we also have delegates from China, and I'm from Hong Kong. We also have some originally from India. And when we told that the kids that we are going here to Princeton, we have our kids here who are so super excited about AI and say they also want to come here to see you, to meet you. So, yeah, next, have a photo. Yeah. Tell our guests how you are.
We're really honored to meet someone who has impacted neural network so much for the world. I mean, what would we do without his work on neural network? I mean, it's a true honor.
I couldn't have done that. Not at your age.
And yeah, I will tell them how you are.
So hi, I'm Yahya, and I'm 10 years old, and I've always had an interest in like computers and like doing stuff, and like Professor John Hopfield, it's like an honor to be here. Like we came so long from like a far place just to be here, so I think it was worth it.
You shake hand right after the photos, right?
Yeah.
So you get inspired, you can go through. So you guys can inspire to be something. So
Other
it's,
question I've had for you is like, what do you think has inspired you the most, or like gotten you to where you are? Was it a person? Was it a teacher? Who inspired you the most?
It was a question. How does your brain work? It isn't one person, it isn't 5 people. It's everybody who's been attracted by that deep question involved. It's amazingly hard. As the mathematicians used to say, a good topic is one that you can say in 3 words, but it takes 30 pages to write.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
And
thank
do you have questions?
Well, I mean, I was just wondering about you and like what do you do and like some other stuff about you, like maybe that we don't know.
what for the research maybe?
Yeah. How did you like find all the research and get all the answers? Like what did you do?
For the kids, they always talk about exam, test, quiz.
Sometimes you'll start asking the right question.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's great honor.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
honor. And also we have our first kid. Yeah, you can also. Because when we tell them that we want to meet you, the kids always want to come here. Yeah, you can.
Hello, Professor. Frequent students. Now I'm 15 years old. I'm from China, and I have a question. So, what do you think is the most dangerous part of AI?
The most dangerous part?
Yeah.
Hard to ask, because hard to answer. You always miss what later would have been the obvious answer. It was the answer. The most dangerous part is to a country which becomes free because of it, or to a country which becomes imprisoned by it. You could think of it just using AI. There are very different directions a society could go. I don't know where to vote on that one. We'll see. Unfortunately, we'll see in a somewhat unprincipled approach.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, thank you.
I have one question that for sure I want to ask. Like, so, if research for the next 50 years, continue to do that, what would be one area that you would like really focus on in AI? Seeing the advancements that's going crazy. Would it be mitigating the harm AI would do, or kind of exploring how great it would be, which would be?
In 50 years, there's going to see computer hardware will be radically different. You can't tell what the capabilities will be of that. And so I don't extrapolate that well.
Thank you. Right.
And for me, I have a personal question because I am only 1 years old. I want to remain healthy enough so that I can do AI research for 14 more years. Yeah, can you share how to keep healthy? Some tips?
Keep moving, keep moving.
Yeah.
Yes, the baseball player. His remark was, keep moving, they're behind you.
Thank you for your advice.
Thank you.
Yeah. And James, do you have a question?
I think that's enough.
I think
I know,
we should
we
move forward.
keep moving.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In 1982, I went and saw Caltech, one of the best engineers I've ever met, John Pierce, and I asked him what he was doing about neural networks. And he didn't give me much of an answer at the time. And about a month later, I received a memo from him, and it gives his view of the field in 1982. And I will just try to summarize little bits and pieces of what that memo was about. But actually, at the beginning, I'll quote from the memo. I'll tell you a little bit about the science, and then I'll come to an end. I don't have a pile of transparencies. 1982, they might have even been slides. But just a few words about John Pierce. John Pierce was a real polymath as an engineer. He was interested in writing, he was interested in music, he was interested in any field of engineering which required, in some sense, not a complicated routine answer to something, but something which had, for reasons of scale, complexity, and engineering problems which had not yet been solved. When he was at Bell Labs, he was actually head of the mathematics part, in which one of the people was Shannon. Well, John Pierce had Shannon to boss, and the trouble with having Shannon's bosses, Shannon was probably actually better even than John Pierce. But Shannon couldn't explain himself. And so every time he wrote a paper, the first draft of the paper was rejected by some journal which said, it's wrong. Someone would have to go in and explain to the journal editor why Shannon was right, because Shannon was not going to get it right. I mean, meanwhile, the field is going to progress. You should publish papers like this. Well, that was one of his problems. Another one of his problems was how to make a microwave network which carried phones around the United States to replace the copper network which did so before. And so he was very deeply involved in the complete revamping of the network structure of communication in the U.S. He wrote about 4 books, AI books, no, four AI books, and 10 engineering texts. He loved music, he didn't play an instrument. He was interested in why music sounds the way it sounds. And among other things, he invented some new scales that you could play electronically, and he became somebody who had quite a reputation in computer music. And on it went. But as time goes on, you move on, and when I was at him in 1982, he was the chief scientist of JPL. JPL, as you probably know, is a big NASA laboratory doing the advanced planning for all the deep space sort of applications that the space program was in. And if you've seen, this is mission control, you've probably seen the control region. This is actually a JPL. But enough for John Pierce's credentials. I'm really talking that much detail about him simply because he represents to me the kind of engineer who could do anything that has to be done. Don't mind if you call it engineering A or electrical engineering or mechanical engineering or neural networks. If you can do it and it's interesting and novel, get involved. But I went to see John Pierce in 1982. I had just published the 2 papers on which by Nobel Prize citation cites most heavily. And I took copies of those papers to John Pierce. I went back and saw him a month later, and he handed me a memo. And the memo was entitled, Hopfield's Neural Networks. What are they good for? And I'm going to read you the first and the last paragraphs of the memo. Could you use an entirely new machine that decodes error-correcting codes in a new way with new hardware? If not, maybe you could find another use for such a machine. This memo is addressed to coding specialists and others who might have a use for a new way of carrying out difficult computational problems by using new chips or new circuits. These new circuits have a peculiar and attractive feature. The performance is very little degraded if a few circuit elements fail. The attached 3 publications by John Hopfield discuss a new type of nonlinear network which solves a difficult problem in an unusual way. The memo then had a page of undecipherable mathematics, some English which I more nearly understood, and then a final little one sentence saying that the theorem has now been proved and there's this converges to that. Because the last paragraph says, I won't go into more complicated aspects of the behavior of such networks. Read Hopfield's papers. I won't get into Hopfield's interest in such network models of the nervous system. Read the papers or talk with Hopfield if you want to pursue that. Nor will I go into designing chips that realize such networks. Talk to John Lamb about that. The purpose of this brief memo is to get people interested in possible uses of such networks or other networks with similar properties. John R. Pierce, December 1982. That was the first I knew Pierce had ever had any interest in stopping. That paper, those papers I wrote more than 40 years ago, and I was still bothered by the fact that they hadn't gotten any attention after 2 months. You have to be patient. But John could actually look at a broad range of experience and see there might be a niche for such things. He didn't say anything about the time scale. My bit of history, I look out, a lot of my history I was sitting in this room. And I thank you all for coming. And let's go have, I think that's some champagne.